This episode is a thank you for all the caregivers out there for doing what you do and being who you are. There are moments in caregiving when your strength runs thin. Moments when the body is tired, the mind is stretched, and the heart feels like carrying more than it was ever meant to hold. And yet, somehow, you keep going. Not because you're superhuman. Not because you never break. Not because you always feel strong. You keep going because something deeper than strength is carrying you. Something quieter. Something steadier. Something sacred. I want to thank you for joining me here on Faith Between the Lines, and I'm Scott. Caregiving doesn't always look like a holy calling. Most days it looks like routine. It looks like repetition. It looks like doing the same thing again and again because someone you love needs you. And in those moments, it's easy to think that faith is something big, something loud, something dramatic, something you feel in your chest like a fire. But caregivers know something different. They know that faith often shows up in the smallest places. Faith is in the breath that you take before you lift someone who can't lift themselves. Faith is in the patience you find when you're exhausted and running on fumes. Faith is in the compassion that rises even when your own heart feels empty. Faith is in that quiet "help me" whispered under your breath when no one else is around. Faith is not always a roar. Sometimes it's just a whisper. Sometimes it's merely a steady hand. Sometimes the strength to do what love requires, even when you don't feel strong. Caregivers don't always realize it, but every small act of care is a small act of faith. There can be a loneliness inside caregiving that most people never see. You can be surrounded by people and still feel unseen. You can be doing everything right and still feel forgotten. You can be giving your whole heart and still feel like no one notices. Caregivers often live in the background, not because they're unimportant, but because they're holding everything together. And that invisibility can wear on you. It can make you wonder if you're doing what matters. It can make you question your own worth. It can make you feel like you're fading into the shadows and someone else's needs. But faith sees what people miss. Faith honors what others overlook. Faith notices the work that no one applauds. Faith strengthens the hand that no one thanks. Faith comforts the heart that no one checks on. Faith says, I see you. I know what this cost you, and I'm not letting you carry this alone. When you feel invisible, faith becomes a presence that reminds you, your work is sacred. Your love is holy, and your sacrifice is seen by the one who sees everything and knows you. Caregivers often think that they're the ones doing all the carrying. But the truth is, you're being carried too. You're being carried by grace when their strength runs out. Carried by love when their heart feels heavy. Carried by God who knows their limits and meets you right where they are. Not after they're strong again. Not after they've rested. Not after they've figured everything out. Right there. Right in the middle of the mess. In the middle of your exhaustion. In the middle of this, I can't do this anymore. Caregivers don't walk on solid ground. They walk on grace. Grace that fills the gaps. Grace that steadies the shaking hand. Grace that whispers, you don't have to be enough. I am. Faith doesn't demand perfection of you. Faith doesn't require endless strength from you. Faith doesn't ask you to pretend you're okay every second. Faith just simply asks you to keep showing up and trust that you're not showing up alone. And walking with a God that will never, ever abandon you. As a reflection of this episode, and a thank you to all you caregivers out there for doing what you do, I wrote this poem for you. When your strength runs out and your tears run free, God whispers, "Child, come rest in me." For every burden you'd had to bear, his gentle mercy meets you there. You give your heart in 1,000 ways, through unseen nights and unthanked days. But heaven sees each quiet part, the weary hands, the breaking heart. And when you feel you've given all, he lifts you up so you won't fall. For every step his love is near, you're carried more than you appear. There comes a point in every caregiver's journey where you run out of strength you didn't even know you were using. A point where the smile feels heavier than the work. A point where you sit alone for a moment. Maybe it's in your car. Maybe it's in the hallway. Maybe it's at the edge of the bed and you whisper, "Lord, I don't know how much more I have." That moment is not a failure. That moment isn't weakness. It isn't a sign that you're not enough. It's the place where God steps in. Because caregivers don't just give time. They give heart. They give presence. They give pieces of themselves that no one ever sees. And when you pour that much out, God doesn't wait for you to be strong again. He meets you right there. In the tired breath. In that quiet tear. In the moment you finally let yourself feel everything you've been holding back. See, faith doesn't always show up as a miracle. Sometimes it shows up as a calm you can't explain. A peace that settles over you like a blanket. A strength that rises from somewhere deeper than your own body. Sometimes its faith is simply this: God filling the places you've emptied. And maybe you don't feel it right away. Maybe you don't even recognize it at first. But every time you get up again, every time you choose love again, every time you keep going when you could have walked away, that's faith. That's God's hand under your spirit. That's heaven saying, you're not carrying this alone. Caregivers don't just walk by faith. They live by it. They breathe it. They survive it. And whatever they know or not, God is strengthening them in ways the world will never understand. So if you're listening right now and you feel empty, and if you've poured yourself out and you feel like you're running on fumes, hear this. God is not disappointed in you. He's drawing closer to you. He is filling you again, and he is carrying you without a doubt. And sometimes the holiest thing that you can do is simply let him. My closing blessing for this episode is, may the Lord meet you in the quiet corners of your day, in the places where your strength feels thin and your heart feels stretched. May he lift the weight that you've been carrying alone and remind you that every act of care is seen, honored, and held in his hands. May he breathe peace into the tired places and restore what life has taken from you. And may you feel his nearness, not as a distant hope, but as a steady presence walking beside you with every step, every decision, and every sacrifice you make. And as you go, may God bless you, keep you, and carry you in ways you didn't even know you needed. I want to thank you for joining me here on this episode of Faith Between the Lines. And I hope I met you right where you are. You being here in this space matters, where your questions and comments are always welcome and appreciated, and can be left on YouTube or on Buzzsprout. Before I close, I want to take a moment to honor the families and the men and the women of our military. Those who serve, those who have served, and those who stand behind them with quiet strength. Your sacrifice, Your courage and your commitment to this country do not go unnoticed. May God bless you, protect you, and surround your families with peace and gratitude for all you give. And always remember this: you are never walking alone. We'll see you here next time.